Hi, everybody. This is Parrots B.A.K. the Reb. Grow for greatness. Got some great things on board for you today, so I want you to stick with us and learn that when we utilize our potential, regardless of what that potential is, that's becoming great. And another great insight, not necessarily mine, I'm just passing it on to you, but I think you're going to be able to really steig and grow from this. So stick with me right here. Grow for greatness, Parrots B.A.K. the Reb. The Reb with a cause, the cause is you, meaning, value, and purpose. Stay around. All right, I hope you're feeling great today, and here's what I wanted to tell you. Greatness is utilizing your potential, regardless of what that potential is. Remember that song, I think Sinatra or Sammy Davis said, I gotta be me, what else can I be? Well, I mean, you could be Hiawatha if you wanted to be, but what good would that do? You weren't meant to be Hiawatha or Ronald Reagan or Yogi Berra. You were meant to be, lahavdil, you yourself, the best that you can possibly be. Not a lot of motivational books on that. Be yourself, be what you can be what you need to be, but it really comes down to the same thing. Nobody can do what you can do with your own unique individual talents and strengths. You don't have to be the biggest gazillionaire. You don't have to be the biggest architect, the biggest doctor, the biggest lawyer, the biggest real estate broker, the biggest actor, the biggest writer, the biggest carpenter. You just have to be you. Why is that guy doing that and why am I not? You don't have to be him. You don't have to be her. You only have to be you. When Moshe Rabbeinu was told by Hashem that he would be the leader to approach Paro, to demand freedom for the Jews, Moshe replied, please, my master, send anyone else. Imagine that Moshe Rabbeinu saying to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, just send anybody, just not me. Well, HaKadosh Baruch Hu knew who Moshe Rabbeinu was and could be and would be, and he chose him. The Ramban, Nachmanides, explains that Moshe told the Almighty to send anyone else because there's no other person in the world who is not more fitting than me for this mission. Now, at first glance, Rabbi Zelig Pliskin points out, it's a little puzzling. No? How could Moshe sincerely have thought of himself as unworthy? Reb Chaim of Volozhin explained that if a person is very intelligent and wise and has accomplished very much, he nevertheless might not be working as hard as he could. He's just coasting, resting on his laurels. Now, with his individual talents and capabilities, he might have accomplished very much if he only tried harder. Now, on the other hand, a person who seems to be very lowly is perhaps doing everything that he or she can. And this person who is just a very low-level performance person, that person is reaching his potential. He's trying with everything he's got. While the person that has so many resources at his or her disposal might be far from it. And for that reason, Moshe felt that he was unworthy. In his humility, he thought that he was more distant from being all that he could be than everyone else could be, brought down in the Sefer Ruach HaChaim. And it's a lesson for two types of people. And Rabbi Zelig Pliskin, who I have come to really respect and appreciate the wisdom that he brings down from the Torah, he says it's for two types of people. Those who feel arrogant and conceited because of their great intellect and accomplishments. Okay, be aware. Be aware that perhaps they're far from reaching their potential. Be aware that they could be doing so much more. And it should lessen their inflated feelings about themselves, deflate the balloon a little bit. And for the exact same reason, those who are trying very hard to act in an elevated manner, and they're trying to accomplish good things, and put in a lot of effort, they shouldn't feel envious or disheartened when they see others apparently accomplishing more than them. Don't feel badly about it, because one's true spiritual level cannot be measured by any human being. There is no accurate, objective means of evaluating that person. It doesn't exist, and it's not meant to exist, because the true level of each person is based entirely on the effort, and only this can be measured by Kadosh Baruch Hu. Hashem is the only one that can measure that. Reb Zusha once asked his Rav, if I could only be the Rambam, if I could only be this great sage or this great Rav, Why can't I be like them? And as Rav told him, when you get to Shemayim, when actually he said it himself, they're not going to ask him if he wasn't the Rambam. They're not going to ask him if he was the Vilna Gaon. They're going to ask him, was he Zusha? And that's all you've got to be. But that's saying a lot, because to be who you are, you first have to know who you are, the greatness of who you are, the greatness of what you can accomplish, you in your own way. You know, I recently attended a seminar, and there were various people that got up, and they were basically talking about their own life experiences, conveying to people who were not as far along as they were spiritually about their achievements in life. And each one admitted that their achievements were based on the help that Hashem had given them. But each one who excelled in his own right, one in real estate, one in another industry, there were like 4 or 5 different people, each who excelled. They only had one thing in common, because the businesses had nothing to do with each other. The one thing they had in common was that they realized that their entire success was from Hashem, and that they had a God-given talent, and that they relied entirely on Hashem to help them, and that they used their abilities by pushing as far as they could, not in terms of being a barracuda in business, but by utilizing their potential and working on it, and then cultivating it every day to work as hard as they could on being the best that they could be, without looking to the right or left, what this guy was doing, how successful this one was. You know, there was a book written called Status Anxiety, about people who are always looking to see what the other person is doing, keeping up with the Joneses, and that in itself brought them stress and duress and didn't help them get any further. You just have to be the best you that you can be. That's the first thing I wanted to bring out. And then I want to just head into the home stretch of this session by the pasuk at the end of Shmos, in which HaKadosh Baruch Hu tells Moshe Rabbeinu, Ata tira, now you will see. You'll see what? You'll see my salvation. Because Moshe Rabbeinu came to Hashem and begged him, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, you told us you're taking us out of Mitzrayim, you're going to save us, and everything would be great, you're taking us out. And now Paro takes away the straw, so not only is it not better, it's worse. Please, help us. And HaKadosh Baruch Hu tells him, Atatira, now you're going to see what I'm going to do. Now the Klei Yakar, one of the great commentaries on the Torah, brings down an amazing point for every one of us to consider, and this will be consistent with what we just talked about being the best who you can be in your own circumstance, which is that everything in life counters some type of opposition, especially when that opposition knows that it's finished and is fighting to the death until it just extinguishes. Some examples that the Klei Yakar brings are that the winter is the coldest just before it's about to turn into springtime. The summer reaches its apex of heat, the steaming heat and really distressing heat that comes at the end of the summer sometimes is just before it's about to turn into autumn. The night is darkest just before dawn. We've heard that, and it's not just it's just not a hackneyed expression. It's true. And he said the labor that a woman goes through is at the end of the 9 months. The whole 9 months is relatively easy compared to the intensity of those 9 months. He said a candle sometimes will flicker and look like it's about to explode and ignite even further, when in fact those are the last flickerings before it expires. Or a person who is just on the edge of death will often sit up and ask for something to eat, and then moments after be gone. I had seen it with a relative of mine who looked radiant as she had reached her elder years, much elder years. She was in the hospital, and then I had visited her, and she looked radiant as though she were almost youthful and full of life, where she had been so ill. And the next morning, she passed away. It's something which happens at that point in life where a person can look like they're about to just blossom into life, when it's just really the last throes of their last moments in this world. Now, it's not meant to be depressing or to make us feel like, what's the point? The point is that which is about to expire fights the hardest before it's about to go. Paro knew that he was over and done and finished, and that's why he fought with everything that he had to make it tougher for the Jews. The Meforshim, the commentaries, including Rabbi Monk, tells us that this is the way it is in a person's individual life as well. Just when things look like it's the toughest, hardest, I don't know where or how it's going to help, I only know Hashem is going to help, just at that moment, hold on with everything that you've got, because that's when the Yeshua can and will come with Hashem's help, both on a general level for us as the Jewish nation and for us as individuals which comprise the Jewish nation. You know, Klal Yisrael is made up of Reb Yisrael. The nation of Israel is made up of the individual Jew. Every man and woman, every grown-up, every child is an integral part of Klal Yisrael. Remember, you have to be the best you that you can be, and whatever you're going through, that Yeshua will come at the moment where we think that it's the deepest and darkest and don't know how it's going to happen, only to know and believe and have hope and trust in Hashem that He will take care of it for us. And that ultimate salvation that every one of us needs to get out of our own Mitzrayim, our own limitations, our own boundaries, that which is holding us back, it's right there by us living up to our potential, being the best that we can be with HaKadosh Baruch Hu's help. Peretz B saying, be everything that you can be. Thanks for joining me.